Hey, my name is Clint with We Are Change Utah. We recently got the chance to sit down with Lord Monckton for a 30-minute interview after his presentation on the global warming hoax. And yet, like September 11th, his evidence has not been properly investigated by the powers that be, despite all of our efforts. Our goal all along has been a new investigation into 9/11. But can we really expect anything different than what the first commission offered us if we do not present this evidence ourselves in the expected, lawful, respected, and well-researched manner of which all investigators are expected to uphold? No more complacent commissions and complicit politicians. You see, we must be the investigation. We can no longer just call for an investigation, we must be the investigation. We must create a case, a dossier, to build a bridge over what seems to be an impassable legal road until we reach our final destination, a lawful investigation and trial for 9/11 truth. With this interview, we're hoping to ignite the spark to take all of our evidence, all of our proof, all of our truth, and all of our passion, and turn it into one giant, indisputable, professionally written, and eloquent dossier exposing the truth about what happened on 9/11, and of the events leading up to that day. It's time to submit our indisputable proof to the proper authorities and boldly name names, pointing the finger at who's to blame. We can no longer trust our politicians to do this for us. We have given them a chance, and they have shown us their true colors: corporate greed and deceit. Now, we've done our best to transcribe the following interview due to the at times deafening background noise from the crew tearing down Monckton's set. We Are Change Utah hopes this video will inspire the 9/11 truth community to take this movement to a whole new level and to start what we are officially announcing as the 9/11 Dossier Project at 911dossierproject.com. A group effort to create just such a document so that one day we can deliver to our lawful bureaus of investigation a case that holds all truths related to 9/11 in a single, stunning, investigative weapon that cannot be ignored. With that said, please go to the end of the last interview clip, part 4, for more information and ideas on how we intend to get this thing started. The evidence is all around us, begging to be cataloged and put into action, but it must be official, certified, chronologically cataloged, free from theory or speculation, non-circumstantial, perfectly logical, and it must clearly represent the truth without question, and with the evidence clearly naming the guilty parties. You can go to 911dossierproject.com right now for more information and to start discussing this endeavor. Thank you for watching from We Are Change Utah, and Godspeed in our efforts.
We're actually a group. We are Change.
Gonna have a picture? Or?
Yeah, taking a picture, yeah.
Film you with a few answers to some questions.
Oh, right.
Sure.
That's no, dude.
Right. Are you familiar with Stephen Jones, by chance? Professor Stephen Jones from BYU?
No.
He was talking about the consensus, going against the consensus. He actually went against the consensus. He discovered active thermate in World Trade Center dust. In other words, explosives in the World Trade Center dust, right?
Yes.
And he went on record, on public, through the school and published this information. A few weeks later, he was kicked out of the school. My question to you is, what your thoughts are on 9/11?
Right, I take, I'm afraid, a very straightforward view of it. Which is that on the evidence that I have seen, it's not a subject I've studied in depth. I found the first whole things are horrifying when you study it in depth. But it seems to me that it was a very straightforward event. What you had was a building which was perfectly designed to withstand certain stresses, but it couldn't withstand explosive force from a plane hitting it and then the fuel. And so the whole thing was destabilized and eventually collapsed. If you wanted to blow up the World Trade Center with thermite, then you would have done that separately. You didn't need to fly a plane into it at the same time. So I think the simple answer is that we know that it was a terrorist movement, we know they were recruiting pilots, a lot of the history is well established, we've got a lot of them in custody, we know what they did. They got the planes, they flew them into the World Trade Center. They tried to fly one to the White House, but fortunately the passengers took it down.
So what you're telling me is you're going with the consensus.
I'm
on this
going
matter.
with what I have seen so far, having started out as a preface and so, because it is not a matter of scientific inquiry that bears on what I'm looking at the moment, I don't have time to look at everything. I just look at things that I do look at, and what I've looked at is the global warming thing. There it is clear, the climate change emails have made it clear, there is a small clique of scientists that has been distorting results and working together to achieve a political result by bending science.
Sure.
And that I'm going to stop it. And some of those people are going to end up in jail for fraud and racketeering, federal RICO stuff.
May I just interject and say that all of the things that they are able to pass now, most of these bills, I don't think that could have happened, say, 10 years ago, pre 9/11, because there's been so much legislation passed that have completely taken away our rights and set the president and the Congress on a level never seen before, to where they can make this kind of legislation.
Well, that is something which you may well have a fair point about, and that doesn't mean that therefore the president and Congress conspire to have the legislation put up. People must want to kind of far. What tends to happen in times where there's a national move for security, like that is that security is always the freedom of everyone, other benefits of the fact, and freedoms will diminish. People want more security. Now I think the move is going the other way, quite rightly, and people now want more freedom and they're willing to trade that for less security. That's really what the Tea Party is about. It's not about saying we can open our borders and let right for that. They are saying, let's at least in our own country keep our freedom, keep our democracy, make sure that we can elect governments. We do not have, for instance, the EPA making legislation which is reserved in Article 1, Section 1 of your Constitution.
Well, if you're familiar with our Constitution, you should be familiar that we don't want it to be a republic.
Well, it is, of course, a democratic republic. The whole tenor of this document is for election. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states. Change every 4 years. No, every second year. So it is. And so it's clear this is yes, it's a republic. The republic merely means it's run not by a monarchy, but by a wider system. In this case, democratic.
There's disagreement on that, but
It's in your Constitution.
well, yes. When
Article 1,
80% of the voting machines are actually riggable, proven to be fixable, then it's no longer necessary.
Then the thing to do with that is to get. The thing is, if you can't get evidence.
Oh, there's plenty of evidence.
Well, then if there's evidence, then you take it before the proper authority and make them do their job.
Oh,
and if they won't do
their
job, mount a private prosecution. You're allowed to do it in the US. We can't in Scotland. Not allowed to.
The reason I asked you about Stephen Jones is because we've taken his evidence, which clearly shows, without a benefit of a doubt, that explosives were found, military-grade explosives, the only kind people that make these are the military.
But were they in the plane?
And we have delivered it to every senator, governor across the country, groups like ours, and no result. So,
because the way to do this is what you're talking about is a serious criminal conspiracy. Now, the body you need to go to with that is either a trustworthy state prosecutor, or
that's good. Go on.
Or you go to one of the federal agencies who's got it in I think it's either the CIA or the FBI, I'm not quite sure which is got these territorial different agencies, I can't pronounce their name. And you put the evidence before an agent who can be sufficiently trusted to get to the bottom of that regardless of what it does to his career. And there are always a few, and you have to find the right one. It's not easy, I don't pretend to. But if there is then there will be powerful forces wanting it to be kept secret, and they will have their place men in all these big organisations. But there's always a few kind of people like me who say, well, we're not prepared to take the consensus I talked about. So we'll look at it. I know when asking me to think about it, I don't have the expertise in it. And this is the point to compete with the effort. You need to go to somebody whose job it is to look in the investigation.
Unfortunately, we've come to the conclusion that people whose job it is to look at these things are either involved in some way, complicit in some way, or
well, take the
controlled in
FBI.
some way.
That has